Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. It's your leadership coach, Adam, and today we are going to be talking about how do you make your team feel appreciated. Without further ado, let's hop right in. Hey leaders, I'm your coach, Adam. Here to have an honest talk about leadership, the obstacles you might face, and how to refine your leadership skills to help you become the leader I know you are. So let's grab a drink, sit back, relax, and have a chat. Gratitude and appreciation. This is a massive topic that is incredibly important to leaders because as leaders, this is how we show our team that they matter, that the work that they are doing is recognized, that they themselves are not just a cog in the machine, that they're doing good things, and to encourage them to keep doing good things. One of the main reasons why we show appreciation to our team is because, one, it helps reinforce the values and behaviors that we want from our team. Let me repeat that. By showing gratitude and appreciation, we are reinforcing the values and behaviors that we want from our team. If we don't give our team any feedback, if we're not telling them that they're doing good, then they're not going to keep doing what we want them to do because they don't know. They can't read minds. People just don't work that way. We as leaders have to show them that they're on the right track. This is what they're doing. This is good behavior. This is a good action that you're doing. And we want to reinforce it. We want to keep them doing the things that we want them to do. And two, if we're not showing our team that they matter, that their work is recognized, then they fall into quiet quitting, or they fall into, I'm just here for a paycheck. Because they do all this work, they go above and beyond, but they're not recognized. And the really tragic and sad part about this is I typically see leaders being punitive towards these individuals. These individuals are working their butt off. They're working longer than they're supposed to, and they're striving for the best. But every time they screw up, the leader punishes them. They take punitive action towards them, which discourages them from going above and beyond. Because why would you? You're just going to get hurt at the end of the day. People learn from these mistakes. They learn that I'm never going to get recognized for my work, but every time I fail, I'm going to get the stick. So why should I go above and beyond? Why should I help this organization go the extra limit if it just doesn't matter? And then you start seeing people checking out, which is a shame. And we do not want that as leaders at all. Now, when I first start working with a leader, I tend to see that how they're showing appreciation to their team typically falls into one of three categories. The first category is they don't believe in showing any gratitude or recognition towards their team. They just don't believe that they require it. Oftentimes I'll hear that they're professionals and that they should be able to work fine on their own, which is fair enough. But again, to kind of go back to a little bit earlier, if we're not showing appreciation to our team, we're not reinforcing the habits, values, and behaviors that we want our team to express. And so then that leader tends to get very frustrated because their team isn't doing what they want them to do, but they're not rewarding the behavior that they want to promote, which is a real head scratcher when you think about it. The second is leaders who went to a class about how to show recognition and gratitude, and they got taught how to do that from a manual, and they follow this manual come hell or high water. They have to follow it from A to Z. There is no deviation away from this manual, which is fine until you meet somebody who doesn't fall into this manual. And this is where I typically see a lot of leaders saying, "Wow, I really appreciate you. Thank you for coming in. You're appreciated. You're really appreciated." And they just keep saying that line over and over and over again. "You're appreciated. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for doing this hard work." And it's like, okay, fair, but some people don't feel appreciated in that way. And you're not doing the work to understand your team to make them feel appreciated, which in turn causes the unintended side effect of the team feeling that the appreciation is disingenuous, that is fake, that it's not real. And in a weird way, it's true, it isn't real. But then long term, this is where we see a disconnect between the team and the leader, because the team feels like they can no longer trust the leader because the leader's essentially lying to them. And then the leader begins to get this skewed version of reality, which isn't helpful in any way, shape, or form. So that's the second. The third area, and I find this happens very frequently, especially in romantic relationships, is that the leader will express their gratitude and appreciation to the team the same way they would like appreciation and gratitude to be shown to them from their superiors. What they're doing is projecting their own thoughts and feelings onto the team, for better or for worse. And this again can create this disconnect between the team and the leader, because the team doesn't feel appreciated because the leader didn't do their job to figure out how their team member feels appreciated. To kind of help illustrate this point in a little bit more detail, I'll be honest with you. How I feel appreciated is individuals buying me a pop and telling me exactly what I did and what impact it had on people. That's how I feel appreciated. At one of the jobs that I worked at, the leader was very much a leader that felt appreciated by getting words of affirmation, by being told that they were doing a good job, that they were a good leader, that things were good around them. And because they liked to be told that they were a good leader, they then projected onto me that I was a good employee. She would often say, "Wow, Adam, you're doing such a good job. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing. You're doing an amazing job. You're a good person. You're such a good nurse." But the problem is that's not how I felt appreciated. In fact, I typically find when people start lavishing me with those types of compliments, I find them false and disingenuous. I'm typically more suspicious of them and what they want from me because it just comes across as fake. And if she had instead taken a step back and thought about, well, how does Adam feel appreciated? What would make him feel like his time was valued and he was good at his job? Then things would have changed. And I wouldn't have developed this suspicion around them. I wouldn't have felt that they were being disingenuous because they took time to get to know me as an individual. So to kind of move forward, just don't fall into those three categories. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I know what you're thinking. Thanks, Adam. Not helpful. How do I actually show appreciation to my team? To which I'm going to tell you that it's a little bit more complicated, and unfortunately you got to do a little bit more legwork. First thing to recognize is that appreciation and gratitude should be used sparingly. Let me repeat that. Showing appreciation and gratitude should be shown sparingly. Typically, we tend to lavish people with praise, lavish them with gratitude. And if we do that too often, what ends up happening is the other person feels like this is just bullshit and you're blowing smoke up their butt. They don't feel like you're being genuine at all, and you come across as untrustworthy. I cannot tell you how many presenters I've heard that every single time a participant speaks up, they say, "Wow, you're so brave. Thank you for sharing." After the first time that happens, that's awesome. But after the 20th to 30th time you've heard that within the course of an hour, you go, "Wow, you're full of it, aren't you?" But again, when it comes to praise and showing that gratitude, we want to use it sparingly, because by showing it sparingly, we create value in it. We show that what you actually did was important, was meaningful. Because if we're just throwing around left, right, and center, then it becomes worthless. Scarcity is important on this point. The second key component when it comes to showing praise and gratitude towards our team is to do it publicly. Stop praising your workers and your team members behind closed doors. No, that's where you discipline somebody. You discipline them or reprimand them behind closed doors away from people, and then you praise and you show your gratitude towards your team in public. We want this to be a public thing because, one, it helps recognize them publicly and makes them feel really good because now they're getting the validation support of their peers. But on top of that, we are showing the rest of the team the values and actions that we want to be displayed moving forward. And this kind of gets into more of a values talk. But if you're changing values within an organization, typically speaking, the people that are lower in the leadership rungs don't really understand what they're looking for. They don't quite get it. And so if you implement a program to publicly recognize the employees and the workers that are showing the values that you're pushing your organization towards, it becomes this teaching moment for all of your leadership to be like, oh, that's what this value means. That's what they want to see within the organization moving forward. So doing it publicly, one, helps reinforce it for the worker or team member with their peers, helps them feel better about themselves, and then two, it's this huge teachable moment for your team moving forward. And then the third point to kind of remember is that when we're showing gratitude and appreciation, we have to show it in a way that the team member feels it. Let me repeat that. When we show gratitude or appreciation towards our team, we need to do it in a way that they feel it. And this is where things get a little bit more tricky, because in order to help them feel like this is honest to goodness gratitude, that you are actually praising them, you need to get to know your team. And this is very important because I know a lot of leaders tend to shut themselves in their office and they don't talk to their team at all. They don't get to know who they are. They don't get to know their quirks or their personalities or how they feel appreciated. And that's a problem, because then when you're trying to make them feel appreciated, you're stuck either with your seminar and you just go from A to B, or you project, or you just don't show appreciation or gratitude at all. All three are equally problematic. Don't do them. If you are struggling with talking with your team members and building that bridge and relating to them, I did do a podcast episode about this called Struggling to Relate to Your Workers. Feel free to give that one a listen. and it'll get you started on just learning about who is your team. Like, what are they like? What are their personality quirks? But assuming that you are good with your team, that you are talking with them and you do understand them and you have a good relationship with them, we're typically looking for 5 areas in which they are feeling appreciated in. So one of those areas is words of affirmation. They feel appreciated by you telling them that they did a good job publicly. That's just how they feel appreciated. Another area is gifts. That's actually how I feel appreciated at work, is my boss coming up to me, telling me I did a really good job at a very specific thing, and then providing me with a Diet Dr. Pepper, or Dr. Pepper for any of you listeners, if you want to butter me up, and saying, here, this is for you. And that actually makes me feel really appreciated at my job. Another is acts of service or doing something for them. So typically speaking, I've seen leaders that said, hey, John, I know you've been pulling all these hours. You're really working hard. Take the next day off. Don't worry about it. I'll get somebody else to cover your shift. And what's actually happening is like we're rewarding them. We're telling them to go look after themselves because we'll take on their workload. We'll deal with the stuff that's happening at work. They can focus on something else. And that's really what's called acts of service. Another way, typically, I'll be honest with you, is frowned upon at the workplace is physical touch. I would not recommend getting into that one, primarily because, again, it's frowned upon in the workplace and you could get things misconstrued. And let's be honest, we don't want to have to talk with HR. We don't want to have to deal with that massive headache. General rule of thumb, just stay away from physical touch. But it is important to know that some people do feel appreciated in that way. And lastly, some people just feel appreciated with spending time with you. And that might mean being like, hey, John, you've been doing a really good job. Want to grab lunch together? And just sitting down, just chit-chatting with them. I knew a CEO, and I found this gentleman very interesting. And he was talking about showing appreciation to his team. And he had implemented a very interesting kind of reward system where if you did a really good job and you were shown to have done a really good job, he would take you out for dinner with his wife to a really fancy restaurant. The bill was all on the leader, and it'd just be time spent with him. You could ask anything, you could get to know him, you could shoot the shit. Like, it really was this function to just reward the team member for doing a really good job. And what's actually happening there is that's quality time. They're showing that I appreciate you by spending time with them. And so as leaders, we need to understand, how does our team feel appreciated? Like, how does each individual team member feel appreciated? And we might not necessarily agree with how they feel appreciated, but it's not about us. It's about our team members and how they feel appreciated. And to kind of emphasize this point, let's talk about writers. I have never seen a crazier group of individuals than textbooks writers. So these guys and gals work their butts off to create textbooks for the educational system. They work unbelievably hard. They pull in unbelievable amounts of hours. The stress is ridiculous, and it builds up over the course of writing a book. But here's the funny thing when it comes to the publisher, which is their leadership. They understand that there needs to be this release valve, and how they show appreciation to their writers and show gratitude to their writers is once the book is done, they fly all of their writers out to some city. Sometimes it's Nevada, sometimes it's California, doesn't much matter. Sometimes it's New York City. And they let the writers cut loose. And when I mean cut loose, I mean cut loose. All you can drink alcohol, all you can eat buffets, gambling, like whatever you want, go nuts. And it is just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But this is how publishers show appreciation and gratitude to the unbelievable amount of hard work that the team went through. And what's interesting about this is some leaders would hear this and they would say, I don't agree with that. I can't let my team do that. But the thing is, it's not about you. It's not about what you want out of all of this. It's what the team wants and what the team needs. And when it comes to these writers, because I've met a number of them, and some of them are just under the gun constantly. Go, 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 go. For as long as it takes to write this flippin' book, they need that release valve. They need to be shown that they're appreciated, that this was worth it. And that's how they do it. And that's how they want to be showing it. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not like the publishers are forcing this on these writers. No, they say, go nuts. It's on our dime. Like, we're not going to tell you to stop. We won't encourage any of it, but we won't tell you to stop. Like, you do what you need to do to get into a healthy headspace. Just don't go to jail. But that's just an example of getting to know your team and understanding what they need, how they feel appreciated. And sometimes it doesn't line up with how you feel things should be, but again, it's not about you. It's about the team. To go over what we just talked about, appreciation and gratitude is important because, one, it helps our team understand that they matter, that what they're doing is making a difference, that they're not just some cog in the machine and that they're being seen. Two, it's a learning opportunity to show the team what values and responsibilities as well as tasks that they're doing that are good, to encourage the behavior that we want to encourage. When it comes to showing that gratitude, we always have to do it publicly. Show it to the team. Don't do it in private. But on top of that, we need to do it sparingly. We just can't lavish on the praise and how amazing these individuals are, because then it comes across as cheap and worthless. No, we have to use it very sparingly. And when it's important to provide meaning, there's importance in scarcity. And then we ourselves need to understand our team and how each team member feels appreciated. They might feel appreciated by spending time with you. It might be words of affirmation, being told that they're doing a good job. It might be being told that you're going to take some of their workload, or that they can take time off. Acts of service. It might be gifts. Being like, hey, you did a good job. Here's a gift. Go nuts. And stay away from physical touch, because that's just going to land you in trouble. Just don't do it. And to wrap it all up, sometimes when it comes to showing appreciation and gratitude towards our team, we might not agree with it. We might not understand why we need to give gifts to somebody. We might not understand why they need to spend time with us, because we feel like it's not necessary. It's irrelevant. But it's not about us. It's about the team and what they need and what they want. Because again, we want to keep our team work engaged. We want to keep our team moving forward. With that, we are going to wrap it up here, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Cheers. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, give it a like, and share it with a friend. And if you're ready to take the next leap and improve your leadership skills, head over to www.seedingthelead.com and book your free coaching session today. Every single time without fail, Gary has interrupted me in my podcast, and currently he is sitting on my lap, kneading my arm, because he feels like it's really important to show me that he loves me. Oh, I love you, Gary, but those nails, they hurt so much. Ugh.